Welcome back, friends. It's Megan here, and we're back with another game of TBR. It's been a hot second since I've been able to do one of these, just because I had just a little procedure happen back in October. So I don't think I've done one of these since like August or September, if I remember correctly. So we are back, and now that it's a new year, we're in January 1st, 2024, we are going to be starting back from the beginning of the board. I'm not going to go back and try to figure out where I was when I was doing it previously. We're just going to start right at the beginning again and get our rolls started from the beginning of the board. If you're not familiar with the game of TBR, I will link up here all the rules and everything that happens with the game of TBR, but it is essentially the game of life turned into a board game that helps me designate my TBR for the month. TBR means to be read, if you're not familiar with that term. So we are going to be doing 6 spins here to get prompts that will help me determine what is on my January TBR. This month is going to be a little bit interesting. I am hoping to participate in 2 different readathons, one being the Tbrathon hosted by Leandra, the TBR 0, and another is the Read Into the New Year, I believe hosted by Oshina, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. But I'm very excited to do some readathons, get back into reading, and it is a fresh start, a new year, the very cliche new year, new me, and I'm ready to get rocking and rolling. So when we get our prompts today and I'm determining my TBR, I'm going to be hoping to get some prompts that will also fit this bingo card, and then I'm also hoping to fit in either a classic or a non-fiction, because some of my goals this year are to read at least 1 classic or 1 non-fiction per month. So we're going to be trying to implement that goal with my TBR as well. Although I have 6 spins, if I don't have something that can be a classic or a non-fiction, I am going to add a 7th. So we'll just go from there. But enough rambling, enough talking, let's get into our first spin. So if you weren't familiar, we start off right here on the beginning of the board, and we have to choose between college path and career path. And to determine that, we will spin the wheel. Red is right, black is left. So let's find out what we get. And we got, ooh, this is actually interesting because the card shifted a little bit. So although 10 is technically on black, it looks like it's actually pointing at red. But we're going to go right on the college path here, and we're going to go 10 spaces. But before we move those 10 spaces, we're going to pick a college career. So what I do is I shuffle these and I choose 3 out and then pick which one I want. So we're going to get a lawyer, a secret agent, and a teacher. All right, I'm thinking let's go with secret agent. That sounds pretty fun. All right, and for secret agent, the prompt is a mystery. Ooh. Okay, so teacher was nonfiction, lawyer was a hard-hitting contemporary, and secret agent was mystery. So we're gonna be going with a mystery. That will be our college career. So we have to pick a mystery, and hopefully I can implement that into the bingo card. I don't know a ton of mysteries, but I think I might know 1 off the top of my head. Let's move our 10 spaces to the right. That'll be spin number 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is a light blue, which is a graphic novel or manga. So moving on to spin number 3 out of 6. And we got 3. 1, 2, 3. Yellow is to do a prompt card. So here are prompt cards here. And we're going to pull, read a book appropriate to the current season. So the current season would be New Year's, winter, new beginnings, that kind of thing is kind of what's going on in my head. So we'll set that aside and keep that stocked for the prompt selection. Speaking of, I should be writing these down before I forget. Our next spin is a 2. 1, 2. Another yellow, so we're gonna do another prompt card. and that is read a debut book. And spin number 5, a 1, another prompt card. And that is read an indie or self-published book. I already know exactly which one I want to read, so I'm going to see if it fits anything on the bingo card. And our final spin, 2. 1, 2, and pink is to randomize my TBR. Ooh, here we go. I know I have 581 books on my TBR, so we're going to pick a random number between 501 and 581, and let's generate 369. All right, let's see what 369 is. 369 is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig, which is actually going to fit perfectly with what I had planned for another read there, so love that. So that is our spinning session. I'm gonna get this cleaned up and then we will go into our TBR selection. Okay friends, it took me a second, but I think I've got it all figured out now. I have all 6 prompts covered, as well as 1 bingo covered, plus a classic on this TBR. So without further ado, let's get into what my picks are. So we're gonna go through the prompts that I spun for first. We have Secret Agent, which is a mystery, and this also fits the prompt on the bingo for a book that you are going in blind on. So I'm going with The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. I don't know anything about this book other than it is a fantasy mystery horror thriller thing, so I'm definitely going in blind on this one. And one of my other goals, I'm going to do a whole separate goals video, but one of my other goals for 2024 is to actually not only decrease my physical TBR, but specifically my TBR from my book box books, because I've spent so much money on all these book boxes and I've not read probably half to 75% of the books that I've received from these boxes. So I really want to read those books, and also when I receive the books, I'm going to make it an effort to read the book the month that I receive it. So Last Tale of the Flower Bride is on the list. Next up we have a graphic novel. So I just chose a random one off my shelves. We're going with Heavy Vinyl by Uzden, Vacuva, Flores, and Nalty. So I don't know anything about this one. I just thought the cover looked cool and it looks like a fairly short read, so I'm excited to get into this one and figure out what it's all about. Next is a book for the current season, and what's better for the current season than going into a new season of Bridgerton. I actually chose this one specifically for that new beginnings kind of trope with the new year, because this is the story of Francesca, and from what I've heard, I actually haven't read the story or like delved too deep into it, so I could be wrong, but I believe that her first husband has passed, so she is in her new beginning with a new romance, so I felt that was appropriate for a new year, and that is the book I chose for the book appropriate for the current season. Next is a debut. This is actually an audiobook that I have on my huge never-ending library TBR, because all my TBRs are huge and never-ending, but I'm hoping to pick up The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary, and this is a romance novel following 2 people who share an apartment, but one's only there during the day and one's there at night, so they share the flat but never actually meet or interact with each other, so they just develop this relationship through post-it notes or something like that, and it sounded so interesting when other people talked about it, so I wanted to pick it up, and it is on my audiobook list TBR for the year, for the month, and that is my debut novel because it is also Beth O'Leary's debut romance. Then we have a self-published or indie book, and I'm going with How to Be the Best Third Wheel by Laura D. De Villa. I don't know if this counts as indie, but I'm counting it as indie because it's published by Wattpad Books, which is a, like, I think it's a larger publishing firm. I don't know a lot of the intricacies about publishing, but I believe it's larger than most indies just because it's a well-known name per se, but it's still smaller scale than like Penguin Random House and Entangled Teen and I'm trying to think of HarperCollins, like the bigger well-known publishers. So I'm gonna count this towards self-published indie. And I'm also excited to put this on the TBR because this has been an arc I've needed to read for a while, a book for review. So I am definitely hoping to get to this one in January. And then of course we had Small Favors, which I also actually made fit into one of the prompts here, which is why I reacted the way I did when this came up, because I have been hooked by this back cover synopsis that is one of the prompts for quite some time. It is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and it says, "Enter not the forest deep beyond the bells of the dark friends keep." So who wouldn't be interested in this like dark, eerie fantasy poem? And I'm just super excited to get to this book. Alright, so in review, I finished all, or I found books for all 6 prompts, and then I also found a prompt for the top of the B and the bottom of the B. So now we're gonna fill out these 3 right here. I lied. We filled out this prompt in the middle and then this prompt down here. So now we need the top, the second, and the fourth. And for that, the top one is a blue cover, which just so happened to perfectly fit with a blue classic. I have Pride and Prejudice with a blue cover. This fits that classic prompt goal I want to achieve, so I'm excited to add this one to the TBR. I did previously start it. I'm on page 80 and I was enjoying what I had read so far, but I just kind of got sidetracked and hadn't continued it, so I'm hoping to finish that this January. Then for the new book club I'm in, it is an in real life with real life people friends book club. I'm so excited. It just started this 2 days ago, I believe. I'm so excited because the pick of the month is Fourth Wing, and this will be the 3rd time I've reread it. I was actually planning to read Iron Flame starting today, January 1st, but knowing that this is the book pick of the month, I think I'm going to put that on pause and just reread this again because I love this book so much. I have no problem rereading it for the 3rd time. I'm putting Iron Flame on pause because I don't want to get into that and then be antsy to talk about those spoilers while everyone is still freaking about these spoilers, so I'm just gonna reread Fourth Wing again. Next is Going in Blind, which I actually mentioned earlier was the last tale of the Flower Bride, but I also have Feybound on my TBR, which could also fit that. And this is the book pick of the month for December's or November's, I forget which one, recent Fairy Loot. So I again want to read my book box books, so this is on the TBR for January. And last but not least, the Book Bestie approved prompt will be A Court of Silver Flames. So the fun thing that comes along with having this on my TBR is I'm hoping to finish rereading the rest of the series. I'm about 100 pages from finishing A Court of Thorns and Roses, but then I also have to fit in Mist and Fury, Wings and Ruin, and Frost and Starlight to be able to read this. So it is going to be a heavy, large book month for me. So in review, the books that will get me to finish all my prompts that I spun for the TBR game and also get me a bingo on Tbrathon are these. So quite the collection here. I've got a lot of work ahead of me, but we're back in a reading mood, we're back in grooving, and I'm just excited to be here. So that is my TBR for the month. Let me know what is on your January TBR, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, friends.